because
Ray doing radio.
Ray Heller was not. He was not doing it on Saturdays anymore. It was maybe you and I were changing back and forth, I guess.
Mike Pate might have started coming into that picture at that point. It would have been pretty close on that timeline.
Okay.
That is a possibility as well, where he might have been filling in as well. But yeah, I think I was certainly doing some radio at that time. Probably that day. You were. I actually remember. I think you were at the remote at the auditorium there in Washington. I think was where you were set up. I think that was the.
That was the garden show or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
that's what that was.
It.
Man, you've got a good memory.
Yeah. It's getting a little more selective here as I go along. Especially, I came up here and I think I bragged my first day. I'm like, I've got a good memory, and then you realize your memory only goes so far when there's 4 radio stations under one roof and they have different board setups as well.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Everything kind of blurs on you after a while, but. Yeah, that was. It's weird the things that kind of get stuck in the back of my mind. I do remember having to run out get those headsets, as I recall from you guys. Yeah, I do remember board hopping that one
because there were only so many headsets, and if remotes went back to back, that could be a problem.
Oh yes.
And now I did a handful of remotes too, and I know John helped me with a couple of them, and then I was going to have to do one on my own. And I thought, well, I got to do this on my own. I'll never remember where this stuff gets plugged in. So I remember taking my iPhone and I took a ton of pictures as to where the stuff needed to be plugged in. And I guess it worked because we went on the air and it ended up working. That was with the old Telos.
Oh,
not the Telos. What was that? What was the remote that was on the same frequency? It was a box that was on the same frequency as the KMOX traffic copter, and so there was an FCC problem with it. And we had to get rid of it, but we had it for so many years. What was that thing called?
Was the big gray box?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a Telos of some sort.
I thought the Telos was the phone system that we had there.
Oh yeah, it was.
Telos was the phone system.
Gracious.
I can't think of the name of the doggone thing, but
I don't remember either. That thing was eventually. I think it eventually shot craps anyway. But yeah, there was an FCC thing as well that made us get rid of that. But yeah, that thing was Teflon. That sucker must have gone back a long way.
It was a strong signal. Diane Jones and I one time in the infancy of the Tea Party, we had that first Tea Party gathering down there at the riverfront in Washington, and Diane was co-hosting it, and Dana Lash was there. This was before Dana was the big popular famous radio star, but Diane and Dana Lash did that thing. And it was my responsibility to kind of cover it and comment on it. And we had that set up with the antenna, and people kept knocking the antenna over, and we kept losing our signal. And I couldn't tell when we had a signal and when we didn't, because the way we could monitor the signal, if you remember, is you had a radio sitting there, and you kind of had to listen to yourself on the radio while you were talking to see how the signal was coming over, because the headphones didn't work. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's how you could tell if you were going over the air properly, is you brought a radio and set it next to you. Yeah. And there was so much crowd noise that it made it tough. They didn't fire me that day, so I guess I did okay, huh?
That's the one thing I've learned over the years, and this goes for sports broadcasts too. I've found the indoor events. Basketball games are a little bit easier to set up for because there's just that in football where at least you have a booth. Those are pretty easy to deal with. When you get into a baseball game and you don't have a booth, there are so many variables, especially people that can trip over a cord in a moment's notice.
Well, and you've got to find a plug, then you got to plug it in, then you got to cordon it off so no one trips over it. Then you have to hope to God it doesn't rain, because usually there's no cover. And if there's too much wind, that busts into the microphone. No, those outdoor remotes are difficult. They're difficult.
Yeah. And heck, there was my first, so for football, I always had a partner for the broadcast. Some cases, you don't for some of these games, but for me, football's not necessarily my strongest sport. So I had a broadcast partner each time, but they were going to have me take the lead on softball, because softball, baseball is kind of what I cut my teeth on for broadcast. So the first one they kind of let me take the lead on up here was a softball game between Moberly and Macon at Moberly's new softball, baseball formatted field, new turf field they had on campus. And I don't even really have to go with up here. I don't have to go through talking with the AD or anything, but I've had our sports director, JP, and our operations manager, Brad, whose kids have gone to Moberly, and in one case is an assistant coach for a couple of their teams, football and girls basketball. And they're like, it's a good simple setup. Nothing, yeah. But I'm the new guy.
Now, how do you do a remote broadcast? Do you have a codex or some type of internet feed?
So we've got a lot of different things that we do up here. When I got here, we were set to get the Max the Max units. Basically, very similar to what John and I at KLPW dealt with in more recent years, where we got an encoder system where we could remotely cut in the broadcast. Here they don't have it set up quite the same way, but it sounds clear as a bell. It's the same type of format, and you just have to have your board up. In this case up here, just press a couple buttons on the encoder back to the station, gets set up. When I got here, the engineer had not gotten the equipment set up yet, so our primary setup for football the first few weeks when I got here this past summer, and for the remote, was Skype. It was actually a Skype setup. We had the remote mix phone here with the option to do Bluetooth. But Skype was the primary way we would hook up a broadcast.
Now, did you go off of the internet, or did you go off of LTE? How did you?
LTE.
Okay, yeah. And there's enough coverage up there.
Yes, and that was we would have to be very careful of the coverage map. So we would have as a backup, we would have MiFi.
Okay.
A US. I had never even heard of MiFi before this. We have one. It was a local company, Sheraton Valley, which has a strong signal more to the west of Moberly, Sheraton County, where Salisbury, Missouri is, Marceline, a lot of little towns out that way. And then US Cellular would be our primary cover for Moberly, points closer to Hannibal or Columbia. And then some of the smaller towns that might be in kind of the blanket area is a little bit of cross your fingers type situation. So the basically having the Max units we've got now kind of bypasses that. But the Skype, it was something that was a first for me as well. But that worked out quite well as long as you had good communication with your board up. And I was feeling pretty good. I was like you. I'm to this day. I've got so many pictures on my new iPhone of me snapping pictures of our different setups, so I know where everything needs to be plugged in at, because it's just a little easier to go by that than try to go from rote memory.
Yeah.
But that first setup, they're reassuring me. I'm like, yeah, I'm the new guy. Something's going to go wrong, and yeah, I get there and I look at the setup. We couldn't go up in the booth. It was too small and too hot. So went underneath, and there's an outlet right there. I'm like, and they had told me you'll have an outlet right next to the table. Great. I go to plug our surge protector in to test it out, make sure we got juice, and no.
They do not have it. There was a plug, but no electricity to it.
There was no electricity. I'm kind of like, okay, that's concerning. And I'm thinking Is there a problem with it? I see another one a little further. We would have had to run a whole lot of extension cords over where the bathrooms were. And I run over, and that one actually did have juice. I'm like, well, that's good, but that's not convenient. So now I don't know anybody here. I think I called the operations manager to say, hey, you have the AD's number, and I think I called and I didn't get an answer. I wound up running the concession stand, and they were able to eventually get a hold of them because I was like, yeah, I don't have enough extension cord to get to that outlet, and I really need that outlet to work. Because I was thinking they probably hadn't actually got it activated.
Well, now see, if John Covington didn't teach you anything, surely he taught you that you always carry at least 3/4 of a mile of extension cord in your truck. Because he did.
Yes, he did, and he did tell me that. Teach me that. But the trouble in this situation was I was so focused on that, and part of me relaxed. I'm like, okay, there's an outlet there. As soon as that outlet didn't work, I'm like, okay, surely we've got such and such many miles, but you just mentioned an extension cord in the station vehicle I brought with me. Open up, there's one cord, and it's not long enough. I'm like, uh-oh.
So what did you do?
So as it was, I'm kind of scrambling around. I think I plugged in that one extension cord. I went to see if the concession stand had an extension cord, which they did, and it still wasn't going to be quite long enough. And I was just about ready to have to jerry-rig something that was going to be a very bad broadcast setup to try to, or bad angle to try to broadcast it and make the cord stretch when the AD it came over. And I think one quick phone call, outlets activated, boom, and all my running around in 15 minutes and null and void now. But
yeah,
it took a big load off my mind. As the unfortunate part was, I was set to do the game with a young college student that we had at Mizzou that had just come on. Actually, had just been hired a week after I had, and I guess I can get away with telling his secret identity at the time. He was Truman the Tiger, the Missouri Tigers mascot at the time.
Okay.
He is since no longer Truman the Tiger, so I can give that away now. I think if he was still Truman, I would not be allowed to publicly say this, but he was Truman for at least the fall semester.
Okay.
Before I think focusing on his studies a little bit more, but I didn't have his phone number. He told me I'll be coming up from Columbia. I think we had either emailed or we had talked at the station maybe Sunday what we were going to do. So it was no problem. And I'm in the midst of running around. I've got a fairly new iPhone, and I'm still getting used to some of the numbers I'm adding. And one of the neatest things I realized about the iPhone is it tells you where these people are calling from.
Okay.
And there is nothing that drives me more nuts when I'm at work than when telemarketers call. Now you get one of those robocalls.
Right.
And I get an unlisted number as I'm running around, mini freaking out. It's an unlisted number, and it says Bloomington, Illinois, and I'd forgotten where this kid was from. So I pick this up. I go, hello. And it just kind of snaps and go, hey, Colin, you okay? I go, oh, Lucas, I'm sorry.
So yeah, if you figured it wasn't a local, what is it, 660? I think is the area code up there in Moberly.
Yeah,
yeah,
yep.
And you didn't see a 660 number, but then you don't have a 660 number either. Probably very few people do. A lot of folks are from elsewhere.
Yeah, but it was when I saw the Bloomington, Illinois. I'm like, I think I had just gotten a telemarketer call last week that was from like Crystal Lake, Illinois, or something. Like, here's another one.
Sure.
No, it's my broadcast partner for the day telling me, hey, I'm on my way. I'm a little behind, but I'll get there. And I kind of update. I'm like, sorry, I'm a little freaked out now, but it all worked out and got everything set up. And it was his first game, like for a full on radio station, and he did well. It was a great broadcast, and that's part, I think, rewarding for that, even though, I've, after all these years of doing countless games at KLPW with John Covington, with some of the other folks who've had broadcasts with us over the years. It's rewarding to go out on my own for the first time, be trusted to lead that